Welcome to Strictly Baseball. I'm Jacob Brown, joined here with Steve Cashin. We're just going to update everything on the regular season, what's been going on in the last few weeks since we did the last one. Now that it's summer, we got a little bit more time on our hands, so we're going to try and do these weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is. We'll try and figure it out. Listen, I know last pod came on here. It was us three with me, you, and Mitch. And at that time, the Yankees had just been swept by the Rays, I believe. Things were not going down the tubes. I was pretty angry. I've mellowed. I mean, luckily you don't have to listen to that again. But, it's 162. You go through the ups and downs. I'm still not confident in the Yankees, but we'll get into them later. But the Dodgers, man, I mean, they have, they started out the season looking like the world champs. And now 2 weeks later, since the last pod, they are on a bad streak. And in their last 10 games, at the very least, they are 2-8, and they're third place in the division. So I think for them, it's basically, we're going to win the division. We've won it, I think, 8-9 straight years. You're defending champs. It's 162 games. Nobody's injured. They're probably just sitting there like, we got 5 months to bring our game back up. We know we can do it. Let's just chill out. We're in LA.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of those teams. It's like the Yankees. You have enough talent, enough potential in that roster to pull through. And I think 162, they have the ability to do it. Now it's keeping that mindset of it's a long season. It's a good and bad thing, because if you keep staying in that mode, you're not kicking into gear soon. Then you can start kind of panicking a little bit. I said that about the Yankees, because before you know it, you're 82 games in and you're like, wow, we're halfway there. Because right now we're sitting at the Rays are 19-17. So we played about 36 games, I think it is. So yeah, 36. If this is last year, you're looking at, wow, we're over halfway there. But there's a ton of room left. And I think this team's talented enough to do it. But in our last 10, you've seen some concerning things, not being able to close games out. You're losing one-run games that you weren't losing last year. I think they'll be fine. They're scoring enough runs to win them games. It's just they haven't really put it together in one motion. They started the season off, I believe, 13-2.
Yeah,
and now they've gone sideways a little bit. But I think they're fine. If we get another month into the season, same trends are happening, then you might need to see some things to be shuffled up over there in LA. Start not changing anything drastically, but kind of tweaking the lineup, moving guys around different spots. But like I said, that they've lost. I think I'm looking at their schedule now. They've lost in their last 10, 4 one-run games. So it's one swing of the bat. Nothing crazy. It's not they're getting blown out of the water. So definitely some frustration from the world champs. But I know Trevor Bauer was saying something like, "I didn't come here to lose. I'm not used to this." And it's like, well, dude, you decided to go there. Now you're stuck. So.
And by the way, boo-hoo. I mean, you're making the most anyone's ever made in 1 year for a pitcher, and you're whining.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for a team like the Dodgers, it's just getting on a run. Same thing with New York. It's going to take one 15-game stretch for them to go 10-5, or 20 games. That is 15-5. That's 10 games over 500. And now you're driving the bus again. So it's no panic mode. Same with the Rays. I've been watching games, just kind of keeping track of what they've been doing. It's as long as you're around 500. We talked about it earlier. If you're around 500 right now, you're in good shape, because about 90% of the league is 1 or 2 games above 500. And
it's weird
and then there's everyone else. But it's usually what you see in a longer season. I think we're not accustomed to it, because we were spoiled with 60 games last year, and we were in the playoffs before you knew it. But you'll start to see teams pull away. The Mariners are going sideways, like we said. We thought they were going to do. So you'll start to see these teams that don't have as much talent, younger, non-experienced, start to take the wayside. The teams with more experience, more talent, start to take their game to the next level, and you'll start to see some separation in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, the Royals too. They started off first place. Now they're 500. You're going to see that with these teams. So. And I think another thing that contributes to the Dodgers, Mookie Betts before the Angels series had 3 home runs and 6 RBIs. So he's not producing like Mookie Betts usually does. Is he is he slumping? Is he not Mookie Betts anymore? No, he just didn't have a MVP level April, right? And so you're not seeing that. And Bellinger's injured as well. So those little things in 1 month of a season add up. And listen, you got Kershaw, Buehler, Bauer. I'm not scared at all. I mean, at all. And even Dustin May going down now with Tommy John. That doesn't even, because you got Urias as your 4 starter, and in the playoffs you run 4 anyway. So David Price was in the bullpen before he got injured. If that tells you anything, where his state of his career is. But Dodgers, I really have all the faith in the world in them. But respect to the Giants, man, because those guys from last year that we said, oh, that's just because it was 60 games. They're vets. They haven't done this in a while. Brandon Belt, by the way, Buster Posey didn't play a game last year. Posey so far this year, 400 average, 8 home runs, 12 ribbies. I mean, where did that come from? It's been like 5 years since we've seen that Posey. And Belt's doing well. Crawford, Longoria putting in his time. Tommy La Stella, Yastrzemski, all these guys. And they're with the pitching that they have. Kevin Gausman's been a true ace.
Disclafani.
Yeah. I mean, they might be the real deal. Jake McGee's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe last year was a microcosm of what was to come. And yeah, people forget Posey didn't play last year. He sat the year out. Maybe he took that time and he goes, hey, we're probably not going to make it. Let me take some time away from the game, critique my craft, work on some hitting. And it's shown the first month, at least month and change, that it's worked out. And I think this Giants team is, I mean, I think they're for real. They can be a threat. At the end of the day, I think they could make a push for the wild card. It's just such a long season, man. It's one of those things where it's a great start and keep it up. The more wins early, the better. They're already at 20 wins, I believe.
Yeah.
Let me double check. I think 20 and 13 or something like that. But they're getting the production. They're getting run production. They're pitching well, and that's all you can ask for. And when you have those things going your way, good fielding as well. Yeah, it's a complete team right there. And last year they fought and clawed with the best of the best over in the West, their division, and the West of the AL. So some good stuff over there if they can keep it up. I'll give it about another month and a half. You give it the month of May, mid-June, and if they're still atop of the division, right in their first and second place, I think you got to take into account that this team isn't going anywhere. But some good signs. It keeps that West division competitive besides the Dodgers and Padres. And hey, if you can keep 3 teams in that race, it's exciting baseball throughout the whole season.
And I love the Giants being back in it in general. It's really fun when they win. Obviously, they were the team of the first half of the 2010s, winning 3 rings in that time. And, when I started watching baseball in 2009, they were the team that was the juggernaut, if you will, for that time. And even though, I remember when I was younger, I used to say, they're not a juggernaut. They make the World Series and then miss the playoffs the year after. They do it every time. But still, 3 world championships in 6 years. It was amazing. And to still do it, I mean, you still have Belt. He was there. Posey was there. Crawford was there. They still have pieces. It's really unbelievable after all this time. And again, I agree with you about the month and a half. Give it a little time. But Buster Posey, man, I mean, mad respect there with the 400 batting average. And they made the trade for Mike Tauchman, the outfielder from the Yankees, and he didn't really get a shot over there. So now they get another lefty bat, plays all 3 outfield positions. Slater's been pretty good for them, 5 home runs. So, we'll see how they do over 162. Again, like Gausman's been good, DeSclafani's been good, but, it's like the Red Sox, right? What are you going to get beyond 2 guys? And that's really the question. But if they're good and they're winning, like you said, up into a month and a half, you make the trade and you go for one last run here. And I'm trying to see if there's anyone I forgot. Oh, Johnny Cueto, 35 years old, 3.52 ERA. So he's still Johnny Cueto. And then you got Logan Webb, Alex Wood. Alex Wood's actually having so they have 5 starters rolling just right now. But one of those guys is going to slip up, and then the bats are going to cool down a little. So maybe it goes down to normalcy, but they do have the pieces. I mean, if you have 3 starters even, that you can count on 3 out of every 5 days, who knows, man, they could really make a run for this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit it right on the head. When you look at baseball, you look at 10-game stretches. Everyone wants to break down months and and quarter poles and everything, you got to look at it as 10 games. If I'm going 6-4 every 10, all right, you're 2 above 500. You're going to be there. But you look at 7-3, 7-3, 7-3. That's you're well on your way if you're splitting those 10 games up and winning that. So 3 starters, you can get 3 wins out of the week. Out of a let's say you play 5 games in a week, you win 3 out of 5. You're in great shape. But the Dodgers, the Giants they're on a good trend right now. They're hitting, they're pitching, and can that keep up? And we talked about the Red Sox earlier, and we'll get to them shortly. Is can those two things consistently happen at the same time? One of these things for these teams, like the Giants, is going to go down. The pitching's either going to go sideways, or the hitting's going to go sideways. And can you get guys like Posey, Belt, Crawford, Longoria is having a good year so far, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs, batting .280. So can these older guys keep that pace up? It's not likely, but if it happens, hey, then more power to you. But I think you got to look at it for these kind of teams is take it 10 game stretches, 1 series at a time, and let's win 2 out of 3. Let's win 3 out of 4 and go on from there. It's little things like that that'll go a long way. And they're experienced. They know, they've all been there. They know how to grind this type of deal out. And it's good to see them back in the mix because they've been on top of the baseball world for the last 10 years, just the standard basically.
Yeah. I mean, you said you hit all the points, and the Padres kind of just floating around over there. They're not doing incredibly well, but they're 3 games over 500, 6-4 in their last 10. Tatis was out for a little bit, so I think that impacted them. And he had a 454 bomb the other night. It was crazy home run. And they just got Lamet back, who's starting tonight, which is a big deal. I mean, if this guy can come in, and we've talked about it a million times. You got Darvish and all these guys bringing in Lamet after missing the most part of the last few months. Huge. I mean, this guy I think he had 13 strikeouts per 9 in the shortened season as a starter last year. So that's unheard of from start. I mean, that's the Scherzer territory, the Garrett Cole, the Degram, where it's not 10 Ks over per 9. It's 13, 14, 15. So I have him on my fantasy team too. So I hope he does pretty well. But that's kind of the outlook on the NL West. Diamondbacks and Rockies, they're kind of the teams that are the punching bags of the division. We knew that would be the case. They're not that good. And then so we look at the NL Central, and before we hopped on, Steve, you were like, "Oh, well, the Cardinals are 21-14. What's going on here?" They're another team, a lot like San Francisco. Is it going to sustain? Right? I mean, you've got Arenado and Goldschmidt. That's great. Tommy Edman he's back this year, 300 hitter, plays all over the place. But other than those 3, what are you going to get? Right? I mean, there's really. You look at that offense and you're not scared of really anyone. Now, Yadier Molina is having a great year, but again, like it's a lot like the Giants. You're in your mid-30s and you're a catcher. So how long are you going to sustain the offense? And, I'm looking at Dylan Carlson right now, 303. So he's doing really well. Paul DeJong, he's hitting 186, but he's got 7 homers, 17 RBIs. So, right, it's just are you going to sustain this? That's the question. Starting pitching, I like it. Flaherty, Wainwright's been okay. Your guy Woodford in there as well. But Cardinals, the NL Central is so mediocre that they could win it just because they're more mediocre than everyone else.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you look at the strength of the division, and I'm pulling up some more advanced stats real quick just from a deeper look. It's one of those things for the Cardinals we talked about before the season started was everything has to go right. Yeah, you have to get consistent pitching. The hitting's got to be there because the last couple of years the pitching's really carried the team to the postseason, in my opinion. And then they get knocked out because they can't score runs when it matters. So I think for this Cardinals team, a lot of things have to go right, and they have to keep clicking on all cylinders if they want to be the top of the division. Now, on the contrary, you look at the teams, Milwaukee's 19-16, Cubs are 500 at 17-17. Then you have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. So you look at the division, no one really jumps to mind and scares you. I think the Cubs can make a run with their offense, but they've shown that they showed that they haven't been able to pitch a whole lot this year. So
Hendricks, man, 6 ERA.
Yeah, and so there's some concerning things going on with every ball club, I think, right now, besides St. Louis. And that's why I think they're atop the division now. It's such a long season, and these are trends from the first month, and this could go turn a whole complete 180, and the Cubs can go on a run, and they could be first place come June. So just some little things to look for early in this season. I think teams are getting accustomed to the longer season, putting guys into longer bullpen roles, or who's going to be our shutdown guys, and really figuring out a solid lineup going into the summer. And that's really what you're looking for here. And you're seeing some good things from the Cardinals, which is good for them. They've started to figure out who they are as a ball club, and if it can continue, good for them. If not, then I don't have them winning the division. I had them a wild card spot, but hey, it's just too early to tell really anything right now.
Yeah, the problem with the Cubs, I mean, Davies and Hendricks, ERA is over 6, even though Davies' last start was really good. But Rizzo is hitting 220. Wilson Contreras is hitting 208. Jock Peterson's hitting 208. Hayward's hitting 173. Chris Bryant is the only one. He's hitting 308, having a great year, actually. And then Baez at 257. He's actually been really good this year. He's been coming back to form. But if you don't have guys getting base hits, it's, the Yankee problem, right? You don't have guys put on base, you don't score runs. And that's been their problem. And Jock Peterson, home run or nothing. Baez, home run or nothing, even though his average is a little bit higher. Contreras, Rizzo, too. Rizzo's scaring me. It's a bit of a decline for him because last year he hit for low average as well. And now it's extending into this year. So it's like, is Rizzo not the same guy anymore? Is he just not old Anthony Rizzo anymore? So it's going to be interesting to see. But they need pitching to come back. But because you look at the Brewers and you've got guys, Brandon Woodruff, Adrian Hauser locking you down, Woodruff especially, and Devin Williams and Hader out in the bullpen. The lineup, Yelich is carrying them. Narvaez has kind of come back, and they've got some other pieces. So the Cubs, this is not a walkthrough. They've got to start pitching well because I feel like eventually the offense is going to catch up, but not when you're hitting 200.
Yeah, for sure. And going to the Brewers here, they have a lineup too where they can score. They go on spurts where they can get it going. You have Travis Shaw, Avisail Garcia, you have Lorenzo Cain. You have, I'm looking here, let's see, Urias plays shortstop, and then you got where is this thing taking me?
Yeah, Urias sitting 213, and then they got Shaw at 220, but with 22 RBIs, so that's good. And then Long, pretty decent.
Omar Navarez batting 368 in the catching spot. So you look at it, and then you have Yelich, obviously. So I think the Brewers can do it. They have the pitching as well. I think it's going to be them in St. Louis. They're both kind of the same team, just really trending. They trend the same ways. They struggle to score runs, and they can pitch okay. So, looking at the standings right now, I think these are going to be your two teams just based off the early season trend. But I really don't know. I mean, this division I don't watch a whole lot of. I watch a lot of Cardinals games when they're on, but other than that, just really, obviously the Cubs are always on TV too, but I don't see much from them. That was my pick early preseason. Now I'm looking at it like that could be dicey. I don't know. Like we said with Rizzo, batting 200, not getting quality base hits, quality at bats consistently. It's home run or nothing. Concerning. So really no clear favorite.
Like his swing, you could just tell it's all undercut, trying to hack it hard.
He's trying to force it. It looks like I watched him the other night, and it's like he's trying to make things happen instead of just making good at bats. Let me get on base, take the ball the other way. It's almost dead pulled to right field. So for him, I think he needs to get back to his form. And same with the whole Cubs lineup. I think they all got to kind of just simplify the approach, kind of like we talked about the Yankees. Just simplify the approach, get base hits. We'll go from there. Now it's and not try to be home run or nothing. I mean, that's not going to win you ball games in today's game.
Yeah, I agree. And then, you look at the NL East, Nationals, Not good. They're not really going to do much. You don't want to play them on a day that Scherzer's pitching in Strasburg, but other than that, they are very dependent on their pitching, and they don't have a great lineup. I mean, we said if Schwarber and Bell can, kind of come in and revive themselves, they've done nothing even close to that. I mean, Schwarber's like a 200, but Josh Bell's in like 150, and which is like, how did he go from that 1 year in 2019 to this 2 years in a row now? I don't know what happens to a guy like that, and just a shame. But Miami, they're just we predicted that one. They're just going to be a thorn in your side. They do win some games because they've got some, Pablo Lopez, Rogers is really good, Alcantara. So they've got three, and they haven't even used Sixto Sanchez because of service time. They've got 3 to 5 starters they can throw out there, and they're going to mess with you. And Miguel Rojas, actually in his 30s, having a great year at shortstop as well. But you look at the top 3 is really where it's going to be: Atlanta, Philly, and the Mets. Lindor, by the way, Lindor update of the week, still hitting under 200. He's an all-star MVP, confirmed, 200 batting average. Nice job. Totally a top 5 shortstop. And then, but they are leading the division. They're 16-13. Good for them. Degram is, we talked about Connor McDavid in the hockey pod. It's really at that level for Jacob Degram. I mean, he is literally lights out. And I'm going to go to his stats right now. It's 3-2 with an 0.68 in 40 innings. I mean, please, dude.
The biggest rivalry in baseball right now is Degram versus his own team.
Yeah, right.
Hitting. Like the guy goes out and throws just complete gems, throwing 10 plus Ks. Really, one to none. It's either one walk, 1, 2, or none. I mean, the guy is almost. It's as close as you get to perfection as possible as a pitcher, and he's done it for the last 3 years, almost on cue. And it's unreal. And the fact that he's been, there was a good stat someone threw out the other day. I don't have it on my phone, but I was jogging through an article and someone said that DeGrom's his record's almost 500 the last 3 years. And that's mainly due to the fact that the Mets can't hit the baseball. They can't give him any sort of help. He's going out there throwing 2 runs. Giving up 2 runs and he's losing a ball game, or he's going up and giving 1 run and he's losing the ball game 2-1. Like, I think people are smart enough in the baseball world to realize that this is the problem, but he's one of the best pitchers in the game right now. I think it's him, Garrett Cole, Tyler Glass now is up there, and it's just unreal what DeGrom does every night. And he just got back off the IL. I think he threw 6 innings the other night or something like that.
Easy.
It's just 6 innings, just breezes through. So hopefully the Rays don't get to see him this weekend, because that'd be bad. Probably get no hit. But yeah, DeGrom's unreal. He's having a great year again. If he can get any sort of support on the backside from his offense, then this team can go. That's the Mets. They can go just as far as their hitting will take them, because their pitching can get it done, and they just got to find their bats.
Yeah, they do. Because Dom Smith is still hitting like 200. Jeff McNeil just started to get a little bit hot. Conforto's been struggling. Lindor. So it's pretty impressive that they've won this many games. They don't even have Carrasco back yet. They just transferred him to the 60-day IL. So you don't even have your full team going at one time. James McCann too, the catcher they got. So they, once everything's clicking, this team could be really good. So we'll see how they do. And then the Braves are starting to play like the Braves again. That double play last night, man, with Dansby. That was
sick. You can't. I don't know. That was sexy, because you can't do that twice. Try to recreate that play. It's unreal what those middle infielders can do. But yeah, like you said, the Braves are starting to play, like we envisioned them starting out the gate. But hey, slow start, you learn something, and now let's make a push and get 10, 15 games above 500 and get rolling. But that offense is cooking. Their pitching starting to kind of settle in. They don't have Soroka back yet, do they? No.
Yeah, and
is he slated to come back anytime soon, or is it mid-season?
He is. Yeah, mid-season. I think he's supposed to be that guy. I hope, because he comes in and changes the game. But I was going to ask you about Morton though, because he's been struggling a lot this year
Yep.
with control. Did you see anything tail off at the end of the season last year with him?
A little bit, actually. I mean, it's funny you say that because I think it was the last series or last 2 or 3 outings he had. His ball started to get flat. He's leaving the fastball up. Command was a little bit of an issue. Playoff Morton is a completely different animal. You didn't really see that from him in the postseason, but towards the last 3 weeks of the season, he started to look kind of off. But it comes with age, and I don't know. I think he's at the tail end of his career. He's had a great run at it, but since he's been with the Braves, his command's been it's been off. Fastball doesn't have as much zip as it used to.
Yeah.
Just leaving too many balls over the plate that are hittable pitches. So maybe he turns it around. It's a long season again, but that's one guy that they were leaning on. A big signing, you would say, to help that staff out. But if he can turn it around, I think they'll be in great shape. But yeah, it's surprising because that was a guy I'm rooting for. Not a bad bone in the guy's body. So hopefully he can figure it out. But if not, I think he hangs it up if the season doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, because it was weird. I remember when he signed the contract in Tampa, he said, "I'm retiring when this contract's over." And if he doesn't have a good year this year, maybe he should have listened to himself 2 years ago. I mean, it's always good to make another run at it, but his stuff looks flat, man. I mean, his ERA is over 5, almost 6. But luckily for them, Huascar Ynoa, I think that's how you say it. He pitched Sunday Night Baseball last night. He stepped in young, and all the young stars, Soroka, Ynoa, Anderson, and Fried, they have those guys on lockdown contract-wise. They're lucky for that. And the one guy I'm worried about too is Marcell Ozuna. And I said this too. The shortened season was great, but this guy's whole career, it's every other year for him. He'll do a year like last year where it's like, damn, this guy's a 40-homer guy. Next season, it'll be 235, 27 home runs, 72 ribbies, on base at 310, And it's just, he's got to get into a hot streak, and then he takes off, and he hasn't hit it at all this year. And I think that's a big reason too. And Dansby Swanson, he just got hot. I think he had 2 homers last night, or 2 home runs in the series against the Phillies. So he's starting to get hot, but I don't know, because if Ozuna can't do it, then it's really Freeman and Acuna and Albies, and then it's like everyone else kind of has to contribute together. But it'll be interesting because Ozuna was amazing last year.
Yeah, and you make a great point of how these guys are starting to get into form. The season's progressing, and now you look at, we've talked about it before, where the 200 at bat mark is kind of once you get to 200 ABs, that's kind of who you are for the season. And obviously you can go on a run and shoot your average up, but right now Ozuna is sitting at 135 at bats, 201 average, 4 homers, 20 RBIs. He's going to be probably a 220 hitter this year if things stay the way they are. And he was a big RBI guy last year, was a big part of their success. That offense he was a catalyst for that offense between him, Acuna, Swanson, Travis d'Arnaud. You had 5-6 key guys, leading the charge. And you had Duvall who left and went to Miami, and that was a big loss to their lineup. So, if Ozuna can figure it out, hopefully he does. That's a huge loss if he can't produce more runs for them. But it's one of those things where it's been a trend. It's every other year, and great year last year. Yeah, great approach. And now this year it's kind of like, oh, it was all right, kind of thinking, hey, it's going to come right back to me. And you got to work just as hard to repeat what you did the year before. And right now he's just not getting the results, but hopefully he can figure it all out, and it'll only be the benefit for the Braves.
Yeah. And again, like, we're both on the same page. Like, they're probably going to end up winning the division, and the Mets will have to fight for it. But having said that, again, though, I mean, you're 16th and 13th, the Mets, and 4 or 5 of your hitters haven't even been who they are yet. So we'll see. And then the Phillies, they're treading water, 18 and 17. And they were without Bryce Harper for like a week after he got plunked in the face. Which
was scary. Yeah, that was scary. I mean, I was as a fan, I was like, geez, like, I'm surprised, like, he just walked that thing off.
Yeah.
He got hit and goes, oh, I'm good. I thought I didn't watch it. I watched the replay. I thought he got like smoked in the face, like when Stanton got hit. by a pitch up high. And yeah, I mean, if they're still winning baseball games without him, but the Phillies, one of those teams every year we try to give them the benefit of the doubt that, hey, maybe they'll take the step, and just very 500 team right now, just not a whole lot of firepower, but it's what it is right now. And if they can tread water and keep fighting, and they're right in the thick of things with the top three teams in the division. So maybe they keep it up. And I like what Joe Girardi's doing over there. He's got them in the right mindset. It's just putting the results on the field.
Yeah, 100%. And they just need that extra starting pitcher. Eflin's been good, but I'd like to see a fourth guy added. So AL West, Angels shit in the bed as usual. Texas Rangers, who cares? Seattle, who cares? It's going to be between Oakland and Houston. We all know it. Oakland, man, though, they started 0-7 or whatever, and now they're 21-15. Talent plays through. They've got a lot of guys in that lineup. Laureano is back this year, hitting what he was in 2019. So again, another 2020 fluke type thing being reversed. We've seen it go both ways. Like we just talked about, Ozuna goes from this 337 MVP guy back to maybe who he is. And now you have it on the other side of the coin with Laureano going from, top 5 center fielder in 19, not even close in 20, and then back to it this year. So it goes both ways. I like their pitching. I like their lineup in total. Matt Olson, Matt Chapman. I was about to say Semien, but he's gone. Laureano's there. I like Seth Brown. He had a few hits in the game the other day. So Oakland's going to be good. But Houston, they're going to be a problem if they go to the playoffs. Their lineup can hit. And I think by then, Verlander will be back, possibly Framber Valdez. But they've got some good starts from some guys that you haven't even heard of before the year. And Christian Javier has been fantastic under ERA under 2. Zach Greinke, he got roughed up by the Yankees a little bit. He usually does. He doesn't pitch well there. But Houston, it's really their bats and how much heart that they have, because that team fights more than a lot of other teams. They have that fight because they want to prove to everyone we can win without cheating. I don't know about that, but we'll see. And then we'll check the AL Central real quick. Tigers, worst team in baseball, 10-24. Miguel Cabrera really showing the decline now. It's pretty bad. Minnesota, 12-20. I mean, dude, they
surprising.
They missed their mark. Losing in the playoffs every year, you have the exact same roster basically. I mean, how are you losing like this? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's been the same team for a while, and now you're 8 below 500, excuse me. So I don't really know what the issue is over there. I'm pulling up their stats real quick. They're losing games. Just, I don't know. They're competitive in some games, but like the last Kansas City series, they win 9-1. You lose 11-3. Then you win 13-4. Then you go into Texas and you lose 3 out of 4. I mean, there's no consistency here. They lose to Detroit 7-3, win 7-3. There's no middle ground for this ball club right now. And I don't think they have an identity right now, so to speak. Nelson Cruz is their leading hitter at 294. Polanco is batting 236. And then you look at their pitching. Pineda's pitching, he has 2.43. Barrios 3.5 ERA. So you're really not getting a whole lot of, I think the run support hasn't been there for him. That's been mainly a part of the reason why they've lost these low scoring ball games.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah, and just not getting the benefit of the doubt. And like you said, they missed their mark. They had their chance to sign guys. You lost Odorizzi to the Astros, correct?
Yeah.
And he went over to the Astros. That was a guy you should have retained and kept in your rotation another year. There was all these free agents out on the market. They could have really solidified their lineup, gotten better, but it stayed the same. And you can't keep asking the same guys to do the same thing every year. Not to say as an excuse, but I think you got to change some things up, especially in baseball. Guys, 1 year they're on, 1 year they're off. So this Twins team's in trouble right now. If they don't start to turn around quick, you could find yourself 15 below 500, and that's just that's a tough hole to climb out of. I don't care if you're the Yankees, the Dodgers. That takes a good month and a half to come back from. So yeah, it's pretty much do or die for them this next month. If they're still at the same spot, 10 below, then you can almost box it up for them. But Kansas City is another team that's overleaped, I think, exceeded expectations right now. Staying right at 500. They're a team that we talked about that people shouldn't sleep on. They got good pitching, and they can hit still. So it's been a surprise so far early on.
Yeah, I like the Royals a lot, actually. I think their bullpen is always locked down, and you've got young guys in that rotation, vets in that rotation, and then the lineup is just complete. And even with Soler struggling a little bit, that lineup, 1 through 9, there's a threat, not power wise, right? Which, the Yankees like to obsess on. Every guy's got to be able to hit a home run. On the Royals, you got the Whit Merrifields, the Nicky Lopez, the guys that just put the ball in play. That's how they won a championship a few years ago. They played actual baseball, and it's good to see it in these times where it's all about launch angle and all that bullshit. This team just plays baseball, and it's nice to see. And then the White Sox, they're probably going to just win the division. Royals, they'll be in there wild card wise, but Lance Lynn has been phenomenal for them, even better than he was with Texas 2 years ago. And Carlos Rodone. We talked about Degram. First of all, I think Rodone threw the no-hitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
yeah.
his ERA is under 1 as well, still, through like 7-8 starts. So Carlos Rodone, man, I mean, where did this even come from? Now you can add him to the Giolito, Keuchel. Now you got 4 starters in Chicago. They're not just, they're going to win the division. If the Yankees can't figure it out with their homer or nothing approach, if the A's flunk as they usually do in the playoffs, the White Sox are going to be a legit AL threat.
Yeah, they have the pitching, and it's been consistent. Rodone, I mean, he's a .58 ERA, 5-0, 31 innings pitched with the no-hitter. He's looked almost untouchable so far this year, and that won't stay. That won't keep up at that high of a level. But it's pretty much he's shown what he's about this year, and he's throwing strikes. He's just really working counts hard, and it's a great sign for the White Sox. Now you have 3-4 starting pitchers, and the bats speak for themselves too. I mean, they get enough run support every night, and then they let their pitching do their job, and that's all you can ask for. And it's part of the reason why they're 19-13 right now, and not in control. They're 1 game above of the Indians, but they've been the most consistent in that division so far this year. So I think they could be legit threats if they can keep everything in order. And it's just such a long season, but I like what the pitching staff what they bring to the table. It's just every night you have a solid starter going out there that can throw you 6-7 quality innings and then hand it over to your bullpen. And if you got the lead, good luck trying to scrap that off in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how we both talked about the Royals as being a threat to the Whites. That we didn't even mention Cleveland. It's a fluke. They're 18-14. They got good pitching, but their lineup's honestly not good at all. I mean, you got some threats, right? Jose Ramirez, Franmil Reyes, Eddie Rosario. Respect. 162 though. If you got 3 bats, I don't know. And their bullpen's not special. Now, Emmanuel Clase, have you seen him? He's got like a 100 mile per hour cutter. It's
no, I haven't seen him.
Movement on that pitch is like it just darts to the side at 100, dude. I mean, Mariano threw a cutter at 93, 95, 96. This guy's throwing it 6 miles per hour faster. I mean, it's crazy. And it's great. My dad told me the other day about average fastball velocity. In 2002, it was 88, and now it's like 96. And that's 02.
And that's, I mean, you look at that, that's like a little less than, that's 19 years. I mean, that's unreal. I mean, the times have changed, the technology, and these pitchers can have the training programs they're on, but it's hard to be a pitcher. You can't be a pitcher really in this game anymore if you're not throwing around 94, 95. But I think baseball will eventually come back around where guys like the Yarbroughs of the world, or you kind of have to pitch to contact, and it's just But it's hard. It's hard as a GM, as a coach, to kind of look at that and go, hey, how's this going to work for me? Because guys can time it up. If you're not pinpoint perfect, it's not going to work. But I mean, that's about right. I mean, most guys are throwing 95, 96.
I mean, Steve, you probably had high school teammates throwing 88.
Yeah, I mean, I had guys throwing lucky enough to play with a couple guys like Woodford, who is playing the highest level right now. And he was throwing 92, 93 in high school. I mean, that was something to witness as a younger kid growing up, and you're playing high school ball and you're seeing a kid throw smoke and you're like, how do you even hit that? And now increase that by 4 or 5 miles an hour. I mean, it's scary. And then it's just unreal. I mean, kids are developing at such a young age. It's honestly, it's insane, but I don't know. It's the way it is. It's, hey, try to throw the ball as hard as you can and good luck trying to hit it. But I think a lot of staffs should incorporate some guys that throw hard and have a few guys that kind of take the load off and throw mid 80s. Cause that would really, if you're asking me, that'd really fuck up the other side hitting. I mean, if I was a batter, I'm facing a guy throwing 97, 98, and you bring in a guy throwing 84.
Dude,
fastball.
That's what the Orioles are doing. Their closer, Cesar Valdez, with that 76-mile-per-hour changeup, and his fastball like hits 86 maybe, and he's doing amazing right now. I mean, guys are way out in front
because guys are so accustomed to the timing. It's all. I mean, hitting's obviously all timing, and it's fine following the pitch out of the hand. But I've been a big proponent of having guys on in my not lineup, but in my staff that can do that, have the ability to do that, because really use them as a 1-inning specialist. That's all you need. You don't need him to throw 4 or 5 innings as a starter. Have him come in backing up. Let's say, for example, you have Garrett Cole out there. Then you have a guy coming in throwing 85. I mean, that's really just going to throw the timing off. And I think it's a big advantage, and teams should start looking into having a guy like that, because it's worked out for the Orioles. They're still winning ball games. They're right now, they're 15-19, but they're staying competitive. I mean, they played the Red Sox tough, the Yankees tough, and it's worked out for them the backside.
Absolutely. And now we got that last look in the AL East, our home division here. Orioles, they're right where they should be in last place. We got the Blue Jays in 4th. They are 17-16. I like their team. They're just young, so they kind of go on young team things where they go up and then they go down. Very emotional, not as experienced. Kevin Biggio hasn't got hot yet. Vlad Guerrero, though, he has started this year like a freaking I mean, you talk about the guy that they thought was going to come up. He's doing that right now. The Rays are 19-17, treading water. Yankees 18-16, treading water. And the Red Sox 22-13, beating up on 5th place teams. It's cute, but it's not going to sustain. Listen, dude, I mean, we talk about it all the time. They don't got enough starting pitchers. You can't score 7 runs a game all year. It's nice when you're facing Texas. They've already faced Baltimore 2 or 3 times. Good for you. But Eduardo Rodriguez and Evaldi and Martin Perez and Garrett Richards, they're not going to do it until Chris Sale gets back. And Red Sox fans act like, oh, Chris Sale's going to come back and save the day. Chris Sale wasn't even Chris Sale before he got injured. He always has bad Septembers because he gets gassed at the end of seasons. And I think, honestly, people were figuring out Chris Sale, because you know that if it's not the fastball, you're basically getting slider, and most of the time it's out of the strike zone. So I think people had their book on Chris Sale, and that's why he started to struggle in September. I mean, maybe I'm going a little bit too hard. He still strikes people out, but you kind of have a book. It's like Adam Ottavino. You know, you get the fastball, you're 0-2. What's Ottavino going to do on 0-2? Oh, I don't know. Slider low and away. It's just pretty obvious, right? So Red Sox, they're not going to hit forever. Again, respect. They can hit really well. They're going to hit every game. You got to go in there as a pitching staff and know that you're going to have 5, 6, 7 guys in that lineup that can put the ball in play, hit it out of the ballpark. But you can hit that off their pitchers too. So I'm not really that scared.
Yeah, and you made a good point. Beating up on 5th place teams. I got their beginning of the season schedule. I mean, they played the Orioles. Grant played the Rays, swept them. Played the Orioles again. Twins, White Sox. They lost 2. They split the series, and they played the Blue Jays for 2. Mariners, Rangers again.
Yeah.
And then they play in May. So far, they've played the Rangers, the Tigers, and the Orioles. So I want to see I want to see them start to play the A's, which they go and play a 3-set this week, and go play the Blue Jays. They play the Braves coming up. So you're going to see who the Red Sox are. They have the Astros coming up this month. So if they start to continue to play well against those type of teams, okay. But right now, they really haven't played someone that kind of catches my eye. I mean, yes, they played the Rays and the White Sox, but not enough quality opponents early on that the Yankees and the Rays have played. Look at those two team schedules that
They've already
they played.
You mentioned, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they played the Astros, the A's, just teams that have been competitive. The Rays and the Yankees have battled out against each other. So I want this Red Sox team to play some higher echelon teams before I really start to kind of break them down, because yes, their pitchers are doing what they're told and their hitters are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And can that last? I don't see it lasting. I don't see this pitching staff going 162 and spewing the success out. This isn't 60 games like last year. And even last year, they showed signs of struggling. So I'm not bought into this Red Sox team. Shapiro, Boston fans, I got them texting me like, hey, like, well, we got the Red Sox again. I'm like, it's 39 games or like almost 40 games in. Let's pump the brakes. Just wait for the Yankees and the Rays. And those two teams at the end of the day, I think they have more depth and are going to slowly kind of creep up on them and take over, especially the Yankees. I want the Yankees and Red Sox to square off against each other finally. So that doesn't come for another month. So
really weird. That's honestly really weird.
Yeah, usually they play in the first month of the season, but that'll be a good a benchmark for Boston. And I think the Yankees kind of want to get a piece of them and show them, hey, we're still here. So, but yeah, if the Red Sox, good for them. It's a good start, but can you sustain it? Time will tell, I guess. But I'm not too sold on them quite yet.
Yeah, me neither. I agree with you. And about the Yankees and the Rays, I think the Rays. You could throw your jokes at them or whatever. They played some good teams. They've got like 18 starting pitchers. It's like, I mean, every day I go on preview the game, I look at the pitching matchups. You got McClanahan, Fleming, Rich Hill, Archer, Waka, Patino, that's 6, Yarborough, that's 7, Chirino's coming back, that's 8. I'm probably forgetting guys because I don't watch them every day. That's insane. I mean, they've got Shane Boz coming up through the system. Mm-hmm. Honeywell started a game.
Honeywell, yeah.
Like, dude, that's 10 right off the top of my head. So it's like they're always going to throw someone at you that's going to challenge you. And even when you got Archer and Waka on the IL, there's still guys that are going to go out there and Chirinos on the IL as well. And I didn't even mention Glasnow. So that was everyone besides Glasnow. So, I mean, they're deep as hell. Bullpen's still great. Castillo's injured. They don't care, right? I mean, so pitching's always going to be fine. It's just, how's Meadows doing?
He's actually played a pretty good baseball so far. He's, I want to say he's batting. Gosh, I have to go back and look because I haven't watched really in a few days, but they were frustrating me this past week and they couldn't hit the baseball, but managed to salvage they managed to salvage the road trip. They went, I think, 7-4 on the road trip, or 7-3, excuse me. But Meadows is batting. Oh, he's batting 195. Jesus Christ.
Oh boy.
I mean, the RBIs are there. 17 RBIs, 7 homers. The average is there. Just a bunch of guys batting around upper 287. Wendell, Rosarena 267, Diaz 250, Margot 220. He's so bad. Need to cut him. I can't stand him anymore. The only reason this team is where they are is the pitching. The pitching has really driven the bus. If it wasn't for the staff that they have year in, year out, this team would be right where the Orioles are, in the cellar, 4 or 5 games under. Thankfully, they're still there, and that's all they can do is just keep treading water until they get the hitting figured out. Because if they don't get it figured out, this team will not be here, come October. And it's just what it is. And right now, they're just struggling big time from their big guys like Lau and Meadows that have been producers the last 2 years. Just not pulling through. So,
and even Randy, 3 home runs, 2 of them against the Yankees. So other than the Yankees in 40-something games, he's got 1 home run. So that, talk about last year's hype train for him. Just want to throw that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, hey, he's come through in key moments in some big games, but not the Randy or Rosarena that we saw in the playoffs. And obviously, different scenario, different caliber games, not as high intense. He'll come. I mean, he's batting where you want him to be, 270. It isn't bad in his first full season. So, I mean, it's good to see him still producing at a little bit, but you'd like it to be a little higher. But the Rays right now, it's all pitching. If you watch any Rays game, it's 2-1, 3-2. You're not seeing many runs scored, and tip the hat to the pitching staff. That's why they're somehow 19 and 17 right now.
Yeah, I mean, and Kevin Cash too. I mean, people want to forget it's Kevin Cash too, because your team can't hit, and you're getting different starting pitchers all the time. It's a strength, but it can also be a weakness. The guys aren't in their rhythms and stuff when you're putting them in. It's a great job by him too. But as for the Yankees, they're not back. And again, I said it in the group chat like almost as a joke, but I mean it's true. What does back even mean? Losing in the playoffs? Like what does that mean? Like all these New York papers are like the Yankees are back. They've won 3 straight. Who cares, man? Like we're in April, early May. All of the problems that I was talking about a few weeks ago, they're still here.
Still prevalent, yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Hicks, Clint Frazier, Sanchez under 200. Sanchez shouldn't even be a big leaguer. Yesterday, there were down the middle pitches, foul ball. I mean, like right back behind the plate, like the foul balls where they go pop up behind the plate, and like he can't hit shit, man. Like nothing. And Clint Frazier too. It's a home run a week, and then Aaron Hicks. It's if he's a lefty, dude, he's turned into Chris Davis from the left side. Where I remember John Smoltz during a game, he said Chris Davis only hits pitches in this part of the strike zone. Same thing for Hicks. Like if his bat path is not where the pitch is, he's not hitting the ball. It's just not happening. So the same problems are still there. Luke Voit probably activated on Tuesday. That's going to help tremendously. I think he's going to end up being the best hitter in this lineup, quite frankly. He was last year, other than LeMahieu. Judge has been slumping terribly over the last 30 at-bats. He's like 1 for 28. And then Stanton, I poke fun at Adiel and CJ and all those guys just to, they piss me off. I piss them off, whatever. But, hey, Stanton, he went on this streak, 158 to 314, and now his average is down 30 points again. So he had the walk-off hit on Sunday, which is nice, but up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's the whole Yankee team. It's home run or nothing. Gleyber Torres hitting 240. And Garrett Cole carrying him. Corey Kluber, 3 ERA. He's been great. Tyone, it's been this 2 turns through the rotation is really what's letting them win games. And the bullpen's been lights out, even without O'Day and Britton. They just got to hit, and they got to hit with runners in scoring position. Hopefully Voit helps with that. And but if they don't, and they continue to do this where runners in scoring position, they pop out or they strike out or it's a double play or, whatever, they're not going to win in the playoffs. And a team like the White Sox, where you've got Tim Anderson and Abreu and Moncada, they put the ball in play. The Yankees don't do that outside of LeMahieu at all. And it's infuriating. So they got to pick it up or they're toast again. And hey, the Yankees would be back to losing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean everything you're saying right now, it's exactly what I'm saying with the Rays. I mean the teams, Tampa and New York are playing the same type of baseball. You're getting a ton of pitching production, carrying their weight, and the hitting's not there. I mean, looking at the Yankees right now, Stanton 292, Urshela 287, LeMahieu 281, 245 for Judge and Torres 242. So not bad averages to say the least, but they're not hitting with runners in scoring position. And they're leaving a ton of runners on base. And you get a couple of those base knocks in key situations, you probably have 3-4 more wins right now. But things definitely need to change for those two squads, especially in New York, where patience is running thin with certain guys. But I think getting Voit back will provide more run production. He was that guy last year, hitting home runs in key times, shooting the gaps. So when he comes back, and if you start to see a spark there, then it's a big win for the ball club. But like you said, too, to add on to teams that are in the AL that can do damage, like the White Sox and even Houston, they put the ball in play. With Houston especially, 1 through 9, you get runners on base for them. It's dangerous because, you have Altuve, Springer, Tucker, guys like Alvarez and Brantley. They all these guys they put the ball in play and make things happen. And I mentioned earlier when we were we did our first Strictly Baseball of the year was with Mitch, and I said that the Yankees need us to simplify the ABs, and it's easier said than done, but that's what's got to happen right now. It's like, hey, there's runners on second and third with one out. Put the ball in play somewhere. Don't try to hit a home run. Don't be the hero. Go the other way. Take your run. Try to find a hole in the infield. So they're playing better baseball in the last couple of weeks. They're winning more ball games. They're the games they are losing. They're close. So they're turning the corner. They figured it out somewhat. But Luke Voigt coming back, I think it's a big win for the ball club, and maybe get some guys going and seeing some more production there. But it's still a long way to go, and at least they've clawed their way back above 500, and it's the most you can ask for right now in terms of how they started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be going Wednesday, the G. Cole game.
Yep.
We're facing off against somebody. We don't know the matchup yet, but hopefully Voigt play. I said it on Strictly Yankees this morning. I'm like, I guarantee the Yankees do their BS where they're like, oh, we're going to activate Voigt Tuesday and then sit him Wednesday so that he doesn't have to play on the turf 3 days in a row. They pull that shit all the time. It's just like, no one does that, dude. The Rays play on turf 82 times. Like, shut up. But
they should just play him. Just got to play. You got to let the horse ride, man. You got to let him go. I mean, I know he's been hurt, but you got to get him ABs. I don't care. You can't be giving him off days. I know they've been injury prone, as of late. You just got to let Voigt play. You got to let this team mold together, because when are you going to do it? Mid-June, July? Try to figure out when you can let him play games and start to figure out what you are. Get some sort of identity for New York and let him roll. So I think getting him back is going to be huge, monumental. Unfortunate that it's coming back against the Rays because he seems to always find a way to kill us. So hopefully they can contain him. But it's a tough task to ask because he's on the plate, puts the ball in play, and he has that deep shot threat. So we'll see. I might be headed there Thursday. So not going to the Garrett Cole game, I can tell you that, because I'm not trying to watch 7 shutout innings thrown against us.
Yeah, go see Domingo Herman, whoever the fuck. I think it's Tyone on Thursday, but yeah, go see him.
If Herman's pitching, it'll be a freaking be a shooting gallery out there. Just deep shots.
Yeah, right. Hey, listen, we both want to take 2 out of 3 in this series, so we'll see which one does. So yeah, all right. We covered all the teams in the league, all the storylines. We'll be back next week. You can check us out on every Monday. Yeah, we're going to do that
every Monday
in baseball. Just set a schedule for it. It's good for you guys. And so yeah, we're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Go on YouTube, Strictly Sports Productions. All 5 podcasts are in the playlist section. You can check them out. You can follow us on Twitter at Strictly Sports P, and on Facebook and Instagram at Strictly Sports Productions. I'm going to go film Strictly Rangers tonight about the JD firing and all that. And then we uploaded Strictly Yankees this morning, Strictly Hockey. I was literally writing the description for it as we were recording this, so it's uploading as we speak. And then this is uploaded after that. So we're covering everything. And then we're kind of trying to figure out when we're doing the draft review. So we'll figure that out maybe sometime this week. We'll see. So yeah, all right. Thank you guys for listening. For Steve Cashin, I'm Jacob Brown, and we will see you next week.